This inherently leads to highly interdisciplinary projects. She's especially interested in sustainability of research software, usability of computational methods, and reproducibility of research results. Sustainability of research software has many facets, and she advocates for improving the career paths of software research engineers and to help incentivize their work via means beyond the traditional academic reward system. Sandra, please, it's our pleasure to have you here. Please take it away.
Thank you so much. Thank you for the invitation and the kind introduction. So let me share my screen. And so you should see my slides already. And now also in presentation mode. Fantastic.
Yes, we can see that perfectly.
So, and please just interrupt me. So since I'm for discussions and everything there, so because I'm not so good in answering in between when I talk any comments in the chat. So just interrupt me. That's fine. Yeah, thank you very much. And yeah, I will talk about US-RSE, so building bridges between research and software. And what is a research software engineer? So that is, I like both definitions. We have one is from US-RSE, one is from the Society of Research Software Engineering, and so it's really inclusive definition. It includes researchers who spend significant amount of time programming, or full-time software engineers who are writing code for research problems, and everyone in between. And we are also welcoming in US-RSE any ally. So everyone who's interested in research software engineering or wants to support that research software engineers have a career path. And so the shorter definition is a research software engineer combines professional software engineering expertise with an intimate understanding of research. So, and if we look at in 2013, research software, the first research software engineer association was started in the UK, and it was changed to an international movement. So nowadays we have all these different associations, and the UK became in 2019 the Society of Research Software Engineering. So you see the US one. So there's a Digital Research Alliance of Canada. So they cannot call themselves research software engineers because there's a law that engineer has to have that apprenticeship, that education. So, but they're doing the same thing. You can see the Nordic countries, Germany, the Netherlands, Switzerland, Belgium. We have a Research Software Engineering Association in Africa, in Australia, New Zealand, and Asia. So it's a really worldwide movement by now. And US-RSE started in 2018. So what are we doing? So our mission is really around 4 topics. So we want to build community so that people feel belonging to a community. We advocate for research software engineers, for career paths, because often there is still no career path for people who want to do this line of work and don't want to do the typical faculty or postdoc positions. We provide resources. So we work on different education and training programs. We have different resources. And we have in the mission the diversity, equity, and inclusion, because that the community is really diverse, that we can broadening the approach in STEM. And it's a community-driven grassroots organization. So the individual members are writing and contributing to research software, or they're interested in research software engineer careers, or they identify as allies. And we got the first time funding about now 1.5 years ago. So we got dedicated staff. That is me with executive director. We have activities and initiatives, and we also can now yeah, take care of community health with organizational too. And since the end of last year, we have now organizational members for support for US-RSE, and I go for some things into details. So we have recurring events like the annual US-RSE conference. So in this year, it will be in Philadelphia in October. We have monthly community calls. So if you are interested in technical topics and community topics and uh, workforce development topics, contact us. We have these monthly community calls, always looking for topics. We have a DI speaker series and media club, funder speaker series, which has a break at the moment, education and training speaker series. And we are at conference, panels, BOFs, workshops, outreach. We have different working groups and they decide how they meet. Maybe some once a month, some meet every 2 weeks. Different things from code review to diversity, equity and inclusion, education and training. We create resources at that. So we have these different brochures. One is an over 100 pages long hiring, managing and retaining data scientists and research software engineers in academia. The other one is work with IEEE. Creating a career path is a 25 pages brochure, so you can find those on Zenodo and on our website. And we have a cute mascot, the unicorn. So if you want a unicorn, you can come to our conference, or I will start also to order new unicorns that you can order them. So with the community initiative and travel funds, everyone can apply for that. So the next deadline is March 31st. And it's really around to grow and diversify the US community and build a larger RSE community. So this could be interesting for this group also if you have events, if you have something you want to attend an RSE event or you want to organize an RSE event. So there are two different applications or categories for application. One is community. So that this benefits a group of individuals with the community. If you say, for example, oh, I want to do a meetup, or I want to organize something and maybe, we can pay the pizza or something. So you can apply for funding from $100 to $10,000 per proposal. And mostly we had around 2,500 by now. So, but that is, everyone can apply for it. It has to be related to RSE work or US-RSE. Community awards. So if you know someone, a research software engineer, someone who does fantastic research software engineering practices, or what you do with your repositories. So should that be something, to recognize individuals who improve research software engineering or help the community. So we have two different awards per year. One is Excellence in Service and one is an Impact Award. So that is also open. So it will soon open that you can nominate yourself, nominate someone else to get a community award. So since the end of last year, we have organizational membership. So this is until November 2025 now, the only chance to become a founding member. And so we have different levels. I won't go in all the details, but it's basic, standard, premier. So you get your organization's logo listed on the US-RSE website. And in the end of the year report and the annual conference, they have exclusive access to specific branded US-RSE's logo for organizational members. There's a quarterly members only meeting with me and other representatives of the leadership team. And you can have free attendees at annual US-RSE conference. And we have a really successful job board. So there is, you can have highlighted position in the job board. You can have a spotlight as premier member via the website. You can request promotional US-RSE stickers discount for the sponsorship at the conference. And also, get brochures. So, and these are the different prizes for founding members. So you see there's academic not R1 and R2, but the smaller ones, MSIs and HBCUs get reduced price. Industry has a different price. And organization can give annual memberships to other organizations. And a 5-year membership can be purchased for the price of a 4-year membership. So these are our current members: University of Illinois, the Berkeley Lab, CSC of Notre Dame, Purdue University, NCAR, Pasteur, Indiana University Research Technologies, and Globus is at the moment in the process. And so how can you get involved and do something? So we are very active on Slack. So we have newsletters. We have also Slack. We have the email list, but mostly really the community interacts on Slack in our case. And so can you post something in a channel? Yes. Can you create a channel in Slack? Yes. Can I start an initiative or organize an activity event? Absolutely. Can you join a working group? Yes. Can you start a working group? Absolutely. And we have very different working groups. Like we have technical ones from discussing Python, distributed computing, science gateways to community-driven ones, to people who are discussing leadership topics. So it's a diverse field where you can join. Is US-RSE only for HPC, national labs, university, etc.? No, we are open to everyone. And membership is free. The individual membership is for free. And it's really about, we want to change academic culture. Because a lot in academic culture always relies on, that people can have a career path in research if they write proposals, if they publish papers. And we want to come to the point where publishing software and really contributing this way to research, that it's also part of the career path, that it's rewarded, and that then doesn't have to be, you don't have to be faculty or become faculty to move further on. No, that you can become, for example, manager, or that you can be the expert for a certain technology. We want definitely to keep our welcoming and sustainable environment in the community. So it's very exciting. We did grow from really 20 people in 2018 to over 3,000 in 2024. So it's very exciting. And yeah, we want to keep that environment, to keep also the grassroots character. And when I, prepared the talk, I put in the work environment for a research software engineer in 10 years and in an AI to create an image. And I gave it a hint like contemporary architecture. It looks like a nice building. Future architecture looks a little bit chaotic with a lot of, computers, like more a repair shop of computers. And then I put in fantasy world. Oh, an error occurred processing this request. Okay, it was not working. Enemy world. Oops, something went wrong with the request. Please try again. So that didn't work. Surreal, an error occurred processing this request. So what I take away from that, so research software engineers are here to stay. So they're not fantasy, they're not serial, they're not enemy. So that is cool. And with that, I'm finished. I think I had the 5 minutes I got for the talk. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you so much, Sandra. Very interesting talk. Are there any questions to start with? Otherwise, I can kick off. I love what you're doing to grow the US-RSE community, but you mentioned changing academic culture. How have you been successful at that? Or I mean, like what steps do you think are necessary to move that needle?
So
What
it's
sticks remain?
it's a lot of advocacy. so from different directions. So talking with researchers that we get more allies who are saying, oh yeah, that is great. Instead of making my PhD students create software, even though they should focus on their research, we can have research software engineers. I'm talking with funding bodies. So research software engineers are now mentioned, for example, in calls like NSF, the CSSI called, like sustainable software. So it starts that even if people don't always feel addressed, I know research software engineer, some researchers say, I'm not an engineer. And I'm like, I know, but we had to find a term. And it's now established, and let's agree on that even if you don't feel like an engineer, you do software. So
Right.
um, I think establishing that this group of people needs a space in academia. That is what I do. And I just started to work with the Department of Labor in the US that we get into the catalog of professions.
Great. Thank you. Daniel?
Yeah, thank you very much for the talk. I think this figure of the research software engineer is quite important to recognize the work that many people do, and at least in Spain, this has not very well recognized until recently. So I wanted to ask you mentioned in the talk a career path. So what is there, and that you are working with the Department of Labor. So is there a career path for research software engineers in any of the organizations that, for example, are part of are funding right now the effort? Or is it just recognizing the figure of a research software engineer and that's it? Sometimes it's just like it feels like you become an RSE and that's it. Like, are there any other growth opportunities? You mentioned maybe becoming a manager.
Yeah, so we see two different career paths, and the institutions, of course, have to be on board with that because it always goes through HR. But so we are working on really suggesting that on the one hand side, it goes, more in the manager position that, you become a senior research software engineer, then you might manage a small team. But not everyone wants to manage people. So some people want to really be the expert and be the person to go to on the technology side. And I think these positions needs also to be there, that you can be a senior research software engineer and then something like the contact, however people call it then, the research scientist, some people call it like this then, or the software scientist, where people say, oh, I need a solution around this area for this, let's say, bioinformatics solutions, or around workflows, or around repositories. And then that person would be the one who would be included in proposals, or who would help to design the technical solutions. So it would be really that it's more the technical growth and that they ask for consultancy for technical solutions. So that is at the moment where we think will be our recommendations. We are working on that.
Mm. And what so far is the reaction from some of these organizations? Are they keen to define these positions and career paths, or are you finding any resistance, or what do they say?
So there's difference. For example, I was 8 years at the University of Notre Dame, so there are different career levels already. So they call it a little bit different, research programmers, but it is, and then you have senior research programmers, and then you have research programmer managers. So that is happening. Princeton is also doing it. So I think, and NCSA is doing it. So the people who are starting, or the institutions who are starting to have big groups, they start to think about it because they want to retain people. That is the other, if you don't give them options to further develop,
Exactly,
you
exactly.
cannot retain people. So institutions are aware of that. I think at the moment it's a lot of we did the first steps, but a lot of people still didn't hear about us or don't have the possibility to build teams or don't have the backup at their own institution, even though they see the need for their own group. So the advocacy is still at the beginning. We did the first steps, but it's still a long way to go. So we start to collect qualitative data to show other institutions this works. But you also, you heard by examples, Notre Dame, Princeton, and CSA. These are big institutions. So we still have also to work on to get smaller institutions to show them that it's possible.
Nice, thank you.
Great. Peter?
So thank you. Great talk. Since you mentioned the Department of Labor, I'm curious if there's been any overlap with the increasing trend for unionization with people who might fall under the RSE envelope under the academic career path versus the staff career path.
That is a topic that is really wide discussed because that is also so dependent on the institutions. So, for example, I think at NCSA, I don't want to say something wrong, but part of them are under the IT and part are under the research track. Princeton was under IT and is now under the research track. So it's a kind of, so there is not this, oh, everyone will go now in one direction. It seems to be dependent on where the supporters are of research software engineers, to be honest, and less where it should be. And I honestly, it gives arguments for both. I don't see that because it's so dependent on the culture at the institutions. For some, it makes so much more sense to be with the IT and maybe also together with the libraries to start from there. For some, it makes directly sense to be under research. I think there is not a one-fits-all answer for that. I think both can work for an institution. And sometimes it's dependent on where the money is.
Yeah. And sometimes it depends on people saying, okay, I have a slot that I can bring in somebody on the research side, or I have a slot that I can bring in somebody on the staff side. So that's where this person goes in. And
yeah. So it's
complicated problem.
It is. And it's just, we have so many different universities, so many different cultures at universities that I think it will never be this way like, oh, it has to be there. I think it's more like where the people support, where the money is, where it makes sense for the work for that project, because mostly it starts with projects.
Yeah, that's great. I have a final question. Well, unless there's others that pop up, but so given that we're this consortium of scientific software registries and repositories, are there ways that research software registries and repositories can better serve this diverse community of RSEs that's emerging? What ways could we better align like research software engineering as a discipline and the things that we can do as registries and repositories publishing that work?
So one thing I think is, for example, making people aware of you in the communities. So for example, maybe give a talk at one of our community calls. Our community calls are structured. You give a short talk, like 5 to 10 minutes, and I see the time. I'm so sorry, I went totally over. I'm sorry for that. I thought I went only at 10 minutes. Yeah, joining the community call, joining the Slack, honestly, joining US-RSE in that regard, open a Slack channel, discuss what around repositories, registries people would like to discuss. The Slack channel is really active, and normally people jump on topics if you ping them.
Okay, great. Thank you. Well, like any other final questions? I also want to be respectful of your time, and I know you have a proposal to get back to, so.
Yeah, and I want to be respectful of your time. I'm so sorry. I thought
No,
that
no,
I
you're
was
fine.
fast.
Yeah. Yeah, we're good. A half hour should be enough for what all the things we need to talk about. So
Okay, gosh.
Yeah, Sandra, don't
The
worry.
next time,
This is
interrupt
what we
me.
usually do.
yeah.